So starting on your belly in what is known to be called Crocodile Pose. Let your head be facing forward and resting on your hands or your arms, however it's comfortable, and really taking this moment to just take in whatever's happening. Whatever followed you into this morning. So if you're just joining us, crocodile pose on your belly, your head is facing forward, and adjust, shift, find this exact pose. Of course, it has the name crocodile pose, but that's about as specific as I want to get. You get to pick how to be in this shape. Let your shoulders be relaxed without effort. Let your arms be completely without effort. And your lower back, upper back. And so just taking in maybe the last 24 hours. Whatever happened yesterday is possibly showing up right now. However you used your body yesterday might be showing up this morning. And can you take in what you're feeling without judgment? Like there's no, oh, I did too much, oh, I did too little. No judgment, just what's here. On all levels, right? So physical, emotional, spiritual, just whatever is showing up. This is like the moment where you get to just be here and no one gets to tell you what's right or wrong about how you're feeling, including your own frontal lobe, right? Your own executive brain. And as you get tired of examining how your body feels, maybe drift your attention over to what the breath is doing. That in and out of breath. Let the breath be full and expansive. And let the breath complete itself. Let the breath empty all the way so that there's plenty of room for fresh breath. And then roll to one side, roll to your right side in fetal shape. So don't worry that if you're facing the camera or not. So fetal shape. I'm gonna take off my slippers. So knees bent, knees stacked, curled up on your side, on your right side, just for the sake of my direction. And then keeping your knees stacked, open up into this side lying twist. And stay in this side lying twist while I attend to the computer. Opening up so the chest is facing the ceiling and the knees are still crossed, maybe not, or not, the knees are still somewhat stacked. Breathing here. Might feel a little stiff being the first time, possibly the first time you're doing this today, and just notice. Usually we do this at the end of class, right? And the next time you're ready to inhale, take the left arm and reach it overhead, even as you reach the left leg down along the mat. And you might find that you have to roll a little bit toward the ceiling. It's fine. Just don't worry too much about how this looks. Just recognize this as a big stretch for the left side of the body. Let the left arm, left leg find the surface so that you're not holding that arm or leg up. Several rounds of breath here. And if you are inspired to stretch here, go for it. It's a great thing if you are. And then come back to that curled up fetal shape. Roll back to your belly. Back to your belly. And then from your belly, roll to your left side. Roll to your left side and find that curled up shape on your left side. So knees are stacked, arms are stacked, curled up. Really having a moment in each phase, like you know where we're going, but have a moment right here. And once you know you've had that moment, go ahead and open into the twist. So the knees stay bent, the arm, the right arm now reaches for the sky and eventually lands somewhere on the floor behind you, and chest is aimed toward the ceiling. Your face is aimed however you like. And that right arm, you know, we're using it as traction. So the arm itself, the lower arm and the hand can be sort of folded while the upper arm is the weight, right? The upper arm is what is tractioning chest open. Experiencing this side. Let the hand, both hands, find some ease. The neck, the face, the chest. Can you find ease here? And then let the whole right side of your body stretch. So the right arm reaches for the floor overhead and the right leg extends towards the bottom of your mat. So you're kind of facing the ceiling, kind of not. Rather awkward shape. stretch. And if this inspires a big stretch and a yawn and a sigh, then I congratulate you. You do get extra credit if you are inspired to stretch. Extra credit that is of no benefit to anyone but you. From here, come onto your back. Line yourself up. Reorganize yourself so your spine is, neutral and you feel like you're not wonky, cockeyed. You're aligned on the mat. And then bend your knees and have your feet hip distance apart. Feet and ankles directly under the knees. And press into a bridge pose. So pressing the feet, lifting the hips. And no agenda other than your own idea of what feels beneficial this morning in this shape. Big, medium, small bridge. Using muscles to keep the alignment. So knees pushing, or not pushing, but knees tending toward each other, not touching, just sort of tending toward each other, even as you lift the hips. And let the breath be smooth. So if your bridge is really big this morning, check in on the breath. Can the breath still be smooth even in a big bridge? And if your breath is very easy and you're in a small bridge, check into maybe a bigger bridge. Also, no agenda. Just exploring all your options. And knowing that this is a long time to hold this bridge. And we'll come out in the next few moments, but if you want to come out sooner, go ahead. If you want to not come out yet, I can tell you that our next pose will be cat-cow. And so you can stay in bridge and eventually meet us in cat-cow, or you can start to lower your hips and then roll onto hands and knees. And then once on hands and knees, move into what you already know is cat-cow. So letting the pelvis lead the movement. So lifting the hips and tucking the hips really starts the movement going. So rolling the lower back and trying to encourage the upper back to join in. You can add the head or not. So finding that roly-poly action of cat-cow, making it super precise. Or maybe you're feeling like you just want it to be roly. You can approach this pose like, I'm gonna make every single joint in my spine move. I'm gonna move every joint. Or you can kind of see what happens and roll around. Your choice. Make it as hard or as easy as you like today. And then pause at center. Pause at what feels like neutral, and we'll move into some of these the bird dog stuff. So bird dog is when you extend, let's start with the left leg, extend the left leg and keep the toes on the floor. And then extend the opposite arm. So extending the right arm straight out and left leg straight out. Once you have your balance, once you know you feel safely balanced, take the left leg off the floor, any amount. Doesn't have to be really high, just a few inches off the floor. And stay here and breathe. If you feel really balanced here, this is just an option, just a variation that might be fun to try. You can take the left leg to the left and then take the right arm to the left, like you're trying to get the arm and foot to meet, which they will not. Balance in this sort of side stretch. Whew. And then come right back, hands and knees on the floor, and feel the security of hands and knees on the floor, right? So I didn't say this on the other side, but I will on this side. So to go to the other side, extend the right foot to the floor and stay here with that foot, and then extend the left arm. So this is a great place to stay too, because here we are getting all the benefits of stretching and reaching, but there's so much play that we can do here. But please know that this is very beneficial right here. If you want to play, start to take the right foot off the floor, and immediately there's so much balance, so much work and balance going on. Make sure your breath has plenty of support, right? You can breathe. If you want to play more, take the right foot to the right. Left arm is trying to grab a hold of that foot. Ooh, and you're breathing or grunting, a little bit of grunting. And then let's all come back, whether you were balancing or not. Come back and feel the security of knees and hands on the floor. From here, come all the way back down to that crocodile shape. All the way back down to the crocodile shape. Head resting on your hands or wrists or forearms. And feel that three-dimensional breath. Feel the three-dimensional breath. Bend both knees and let the feet move into windshield wiper action. And you notice what happens when you do windshield wiper. You might notice that you immediately go into a symmetrical movement, like both legs to the right, both legs to the left. Notice if that's what you do, or if you like to do the opposite movement. Both are great, just notice, just asking you to really stay connected to what your body does. And then let both feet come back down to the ground. Take your arms alongside your body. So when I put my head down, I might get muffled. So head goes down, chin is tucked. And so the whole body is soft and relaxed, maybe, hopefully. And then lift, so you're going to keep your chin tucked, but lift your chest off the floor. So this is like a half locust shape. So your hands, your hips, your legs, feet, everything stays on the floor, even as you're lifting your head and upper chest. You can either lift and stay, or maybe lift a few times. If you're going to lift a few times, lift so many times that you start to feel the muscles of your belly, the front of your belly engage in order to do this. The belly doesn't really come off the floor, right? But you can feel the front of your belly engage. If you're lifting and holding, let yourself come down to the floor. If you're repeating over and over, lifting and lowering, let yourself finally stop. Come back to that crocodile shape and take your legs as wide, if not wider, than your mat. So I can get my legs pretty wide, like my knees pretty wide. And then bend your knees and let your ankles cross. So now you're not doing windshield wipers, you're just finding this stretch maybe on the inner thighs. So knees are wide and then ankles are crossed. It's sort of like, this is sort of like sitting cross-legged. Might feel like a lot of restriction here, or maybe less restriction, no right or wrong. And then take the legs out of that crossed ankle and let your legs open out left and right. So knees remain wide. And now I'm letting my feet hang left to right. And you may or may not feel the difference here. It's sort of changing how the bones are inside the hip joint. And now go ahead and go back and forth, moving into this kind of windshield wiper so that your legs are actually going away. They're not in sync with each other. They're in sync, but they're going in opposite directions always. You can play with changing the cross of your ankles. And then pause. And let your legs come back to what feels more normal distance apart. Legs straight. Now lift up into Sphinx pose. So Sphinx is when you are leaning on your elbows. You can have your palms face the ceiling or face the floor. You decide what you like better. And also decide whether you want your elbows farther from the chest or if you want your elbows directly under the shoulders. Under the shoulders, you're going to get a deeper arch in your lower back. So decide if that feels good. And if it's feeling a little pinchy, then move the elbows a little further out. Either way is a great shape to be in. I think I'll be somewhere in between there. And so pressing into the elbows so you're really lifting your chest. This would be Sphinx. And then let's change it up a little bit and reverse this. So this is sort of like a cat-cow version of Sphinx pose. So we're combining lots of poses. I think we did this last week. So to turn this, so this would be like the cow of Sphinx. The cat would be to pull the ribs toward the ceiling. That's your cat. And then inhale and lift into the cow version of Sphinx. On your exhale, pull the ribs toward the ceiling for your cat version of Sphinx. And go slow here. Move in and out of this cat-cow Sphinx. I think I'm making up the name of this, but I doubt that I'm the first person to do this. Go slow. Poses like this are very subtle when you're doing them. And tomorrow might be when you feel the result of this. When you've had enough of that, come back to the crocodile. Take your legs wide again. So back to hands down, to head down. Legs are wide. I don't think they have to be as wide as before. Maybe just as wide as your mat, maybe not wider than the mat, maybe just as wide as the mat. And then curl the toes under so that you'll see why, but curl your toes under. And then lift the right leg and sweep the right leg left to right. So don't be disappointed. You won't be able to move this leg very far because this is a lot of work for the muscles that are not used to doing this. Sweeping the right leg, and you can go slow. Feel where you feel this in your butt, in your low back. Make sure you're feeling safe about doing this. This is great for those of us who sit a lot. I wonder who that might be. All humans, all human beings. Let the right leg come to land on the floor and pause. Knowing that we're going to do the other side, feel for a moment the relief of not doing that and how it's really both legs doing the work of that, or both sides of the body anyway. And then onto the left side. So you see how curling toes under stabilizes the down leg. Okay, so moving on to the left leg, lift the left leg and do whatever you need to with the toes and start sweeping left to right. So the knee is totally straight. The knee is straight. Don't let your knee bend. It's like you're sweeping the floor. And you're breathing. Of course, the breath is going to get a little busy here because this is a lot of work. It's hard to talk and do this. Let both legs rest. Let the toes uncurl. Let your head rest. And then press into all fours. Come back up to all fours. And then come to your knees. So standing on your knees. Hands to hips. And then take the right foot forward. Take the right foot forward and find a nice boxy shape. Knees and feet cooperating with each other so you're not finding any twistiness in your knees. I'm also supporting my knees with the blanket. From here, let your hips float toward this front leg, floating towards the right ankle. As far as you want to go. And then bring arms either to cactus or straight up, whatever your shoulders are interested in. And then find that lateral stretch by arching to the left. So if you're on the same side as me, right leg is forward and I'm arching to the left. And then come back to center and arch toward the right. So right leg is forward and I'm now arching to the right. Come back to center, hands back to the hips, and float your hips way back, all the way back. You can have your hands to the floor, or if you have blocks or the wall, piece of furniture nearby, so that you're finding a stretch across the back of the front leg, the right leg. You can let the right toes come up off the floor. You can have a slight, and probably will have a slight bend in your right knee. And then come back to that boxy shape. This is like neutral. And hands to hips. Try, no big deal, but try bringing the foot back, the knee back, without using your hands. There's a little bit of balance that happens as you do that. And then left foot forward. Set yourself up, boxy. And at first, letting the hips float toward the front leg, floating towards the left leg. And finding the place that's comfortable, where you can breathe, where you feel like something new is happening in your hip, something new that may not have happened in the last 24 hours. Arms to reaching or to cactus, and then let yourself arch toward the right. Come back through center and let yourself arch toward the left. And breathing and balancing and breathing. And then come back to center, hands to hips as you float the hips way back to find the stretch across the back of the left leg now. Toes can come up off the floor and there can be a little bend in the left knee. Really reaching the hips behind you in this pose. So it's not about getting the head close to the foot, it's about getting the hips really far behind you, and that will find the hamstring, right? And then come back to, whoa, what feels like neutral. Hands to hips, and step the knee back without the use of props, or use props. You know I don't care. So from here, we'll come to standing and make your way to standing in any way that is working for you today. And similar poses standing than what we were doing on hands and knees. So have a nice stance between your feet. So maybe 2 fists width apart. I'll show you what that looks like here. Like that's a really nice, that's probably a good representation of how wide my hips are. So if I'm that far apart, my balance is going to be supported here. Take right knee forward and angle the back foot so that you can stand in this wide stance without tipping over. So the back foot is angled, front foot is further than your like long strided walking, right? So it's a little bit of a challenge. And then let your front knee bend. So now we're in what feels like warrior one legs. Adjust your feet as much as you need to. Remember, you can be wide left to right, as well as wide front to back. Hands to hips at first, and then bring your arms into either cactus or the traditional warrior one, arms up in the air. And same thing, arch to the right. So this time I'm starting by arching to the right. My right knee is bent, and I'm arching my torso to the right. Breathing. Feeling all the ways that my brain is trying to figure out how to keep me upright. That balance that's happening, that wobble that's happening. Come back to facing forward, and this time let the left arm drop and try to, so we're not only reaching to the left, but maybe to the back and left. So you can do arching over to the left, and you can also reach it back into the left. Front knee stays bent. Slowly come back to facing forward. Hands to hips. Let the front leg straighten and keep your upper body, your spine, your torso straight as you send the hips back behind you and start to fold over the front leg. Keep a little bend in the front knee so we're not pulling on the hamstring, but we're still getting a stretch in the hamstring. Bending the knee will move the stretch out of the attachment of the hamstring up by the butt, and will move the stretch into the body of the hamstring, like the middle of the thigh. So hinging, hinging, breathing. Maybe we're on our way out, but maybe take the arm straight forward, bend a little more into the knee, and come back to upright. And then step 2 feet together. Now I'm going to turn around so we can do the other side. So step the left foot forward. So the step forward is longer than my normal, even maybe it's longer than my normal stride, of course. And then I'm going to adjust my back foot so that I have a good angle on the back foot. Bend the left knee. Adjusting wide as well as front to back. Make sure you have a good footing. If you're on carpet, you're going to be wobbly right from the start. So give yourself all the advantages. Carpet is harder to work on. Front knee is bent. Let the arms come to an upright shape. And arch toward the left leg. Arching toward the left leg. And breathing. Back foot and front foot are working equally, carrying the weight. Come back to upright. And now arching to the right, maybe there's a way to also not not just arch to the right, but to arch to the corner, right? The right corner. So you're reaching back and to the right. The right arm can dangle or hold. The left arm can be resting on your head. The stretch is all along the side body. Make your way back to upright, facing forward. And then keeping the torso long, not rounding in the spine, straighten the left leg and start to fold over the left leg. So I say straighten the left leg, but you're keeping just enough bend in the left knee so that the stretch moves into the body of the thigh. You'll feel it. Like if you straighten your leg, you'll feel the stretch move way up here to the top of the hamstring. If you bend your knee just a little bit, you'll feel the stretch move down into the body of the muscle. Let's stay here and breathe. And then press to upright and come to 2 feet together. Checking our time. So coming all the way back down to the floor. And we'll start similar, or we'll end similar to the way we started. So lying on your, actually lie on your back. Lie on your back and bring your knees into your chest. And then extend the right leg, any amount. So keep the left leg into the chest and extend the right leg as much as it's willing to extend, pressing the heel toward the ceiling. So pulling the toes towards your face, pressing your heel towards the ceiling, and maybe getting a straight leg here. You can angle that. Leg can be angled away from the face. You know, the whole leg can be on an angle, but find where it's comfortable. Like you could stay here for a while. We won't. And then bend both knees and pause and notice the difference between sides. Extend the left leg. So right knee is tucked into the chest and left leg is reaching for the ceiling. Find the angle. You know, the further away your leg is from your face, the more the low back has to arch, and there's a little bit of challenge there. So just find the place where you can hold your leg, you can reach your heel, you can pull your toes, and maybe feel the strength of all the thigh muscles here, right? The hamstrings, the quads, the front, the back. And then bend both knees and pause. Take both feet to the floor. Press into a bridge. Excuse me. Press into your bridge pose. Maybe reach the arms overhead as you're in your bridge. Knees angling toward each other. Breath is able to move freely. If not awkwardly, there's still, the breath can go in and out. Lower the hips, Cross the right leg over the left. Right leg crosses over the left. You can bring your arms down. And then let your hips shift to the right. Okay, my right leg crossed over my left leg. And then I took my hips and shifted over to the right. And now from here, let the knees drop over to the left. Chest stays angled toward the ceiling. You can see shoulder starts to lift. A little bit of a twisted reclined shape. Head can be facing in whatever direction it wants. You're finding traction across the front of the chest because the arm is heavy. See where any tension is, and can any of that tension soften, dissipate? Can any of it be released? Not a requirement, just notice any holding patterns. Come back to center. Shift your hips back to center. Uncross your legs. So come back to center. Shift the hips to the center of your mat. Uncross your leg. And then left leg crosses over the right leg. Let the hips shift to the left. And then let the knees drop to the right. So your chest is facing toward the ceiling. Your knees have dropped over towards the right. Left arm is heavy and tractioning the chest. Your head can be wherever you want it. Stay here and breathe. Awkward twist. I've seen this be called twisted roots. I like that name. So come back to center. Shift the hips back to center. Untangle your roots and pause. Knees bent. Press into a bridge pose. And then lower the hips. Come out of your bridge pose. Extend the legs down along the mat. Extend the arms up overhead. So you are as long as arms and legs. So your height is the tips of your fingers through the arms, through the torso, all the way through the legs. And see how tall you can make yourself. Reaching the heels away. Pull the toes toward your face. Toes toward the face, heels far away, arms reaching, getting as long as you can get. And maybe even trying to get long on the left side and then getting long on the right side. So it's like a little shift. Left reaches and then the right reaches back and forth, side to side, really reaching. And then let your arms come down alongside your body. Let your legs soften, feet slop. left to right open. Bring your head so that it's like you're tucking your chin. You might be able to feel the back of your neck flatten out against the mat. Keep that tucked chin and turn your head toward the right. So chin stays tucked. See if you can get your right cheek close to the right floor. Keeping the tuck of your chin, turning your head to the right, pressing toward the floor. So you won't get your cheek to the floor, but you're pressing toward the floor. Lift your head to come back to center and pause. And then tuck your chin again. Feel the back of your neck flatten out toward the floor. And then turn your head with chin tucked to the left, chin tucked, pressing left ear toward the floor behind you. Soften all the muscles of the shoulders and neck and, well, the muscles that are doing the work of turning your head and tucking your chin and pressing toward the floor. Those are the only muscles working. But the chest and the shoulders can soften. The butt, the legs, everything can be soft. Surprising how much of me is trying to do this, when really all I need is my neck muscles to do this. Pressing left cheek toward the floor. Chin is tucked. Cheek is moving toward the floor. Lift your head to come back to center. And then find your most comfortable Shavasana. You might already be there. But if you need covers, socks, if you need your cat, if you need a pillow, eye cover, let yourself settle into what's here. Settle into the results of today's class. Settling into the last 24 hours in total, including class. Letting the whole day settle, maybe drop away. Letting this space, this sacred moment and space here on your mat be exclusive. Members only, and you're the only member. So whatever you need, right here on your mat for the next few minutes, it's all yours. preserving the sense of nothing required, nothing to do. Begin to notice what your senses are noticing and maybe filtering, but noticing nonetheless. No need to respond or react. Just taking in what you are hearing. No need to respond or react. And taking in what you can see, maybe even fluttering your eyelids open a little bit and then not focusing. Allowing the light to enter unfocused, full panorama without even moving the eyes, seeing everything. And feeling all the supports that you've chosen. Notice any amount of comfort that you've found. And knowing that you can stay exactly as you are, but also knowing that you may have the rest of your day that you need to get to. All the choices.